Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
There's seats if people want to be more comfortable. Please feel free to come have a seat. I'd like to welcome everybody to Peace College. It's great to have you here today. You can tell by the big tent going up. It's an exciting time of the year as we prepare for our graduation ceremonies this weekend. So I say my favorite time of the year because we see the result of what we do. And today in our announcement, we also have an organization that will be moving onto Peace College campus that really gets to see the results of what they do too, and they'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm very excited to have this announcement today, and I'd like to start by introducing a few people who have joined us. I'd like to welcome Nancy McFarland, who is on the City Council and running for mayor. So and Elizabeth Ocken from Senator Hagan's office has joined us today, and Elizabeth is in the back here. And we have many people from the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service on their board, and I'd like them to stand and be recognized for the work that they do. And they're headed up by Jackie Hughes, who's the chairwoman of the board there. So nice to have you all with us today. We have a special guest who I'll be introducing later, but I think everybody knows. We have the Secretary of State, Elaine Marshall, here. So I would like to say that Peace is in the process of looking at our graduates and what we think they need when they leave Peace College. And last month we introduced a new person to head our education department, Dr. Ann Denlinger, which was very exciting because she's also a Peace alumna, which is great. And so she's a leader in that field, and I think will make a big impact in our education programs. Today, we're here to announce that we are making enhancements to our political science program. And students are telling us what they want, and when they graduate, they would like to know that they have job opportunities and career opportunities. And I always say parents like that too, because really they don't want them moving back in. So, we continue to look at those pieces in our curriculum and how we can enhance it in the political science department. And two professors here today, Professor David McLennan and Professor Roger Ashby, who I saw here earlier, Roger, have done a good job, I think, in exploring what that might be and looking at what students can do in the community to enhance their education and work toward, if they're interested as well, pre-law. And we're calling it the Raleigh Experience. And I'm going to save that so David can tell you a little bit more about what that is. The other thing we're announcing today is that the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service is moving into Peace College. And and we're very excited about that because we think that they embody what we embody of preparing women for careers in public service and careers of their choosing. And this is an exciting time for us, and you'll hear a little bit more about what they do as well. But first, I'd like to introduce Dr. David McLennan.
Thank you very much, Deborah. It's very exciting to have this day and have this announcement for both reasons, the Raleigh Experience and for the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service. But I'd like to start by quoting some research by a gentleman from the University of California at Berkeley. His name is Bruce Bimber. And he did research a number of years ago and wrote a book about young women and young men as they approach college. And he said when young men and young women graduate from high school, they are equally interested in politics. And they pursue politics equally, which means they write public officials, they go online to find out more about politics. They say they're interested in political science equally. But by the time they're 22 and leaving college, women are half as interested in politics as are men. So we see a 50% decline in terms of women's interest in politics. And Professor Bimber writes in his book that there are many reasons for this. Some of them are the negativity of politics, that politics is a dog-eat-dog world. But he also writes that what goes on in the study of politics in college is a deterrent to women to pursue political science majors and even public service careers. And so it's something that I've been thinking about for a number of years. What can we at Peace College do to reverse that trend? Because we don't want young women to be disinterested in politics. We want them to be interested in politics. So one of the reasons why Roger Ashby and I sat down and said, let's change political science. Let's throw the book out the door, literally and figuratively. I was going to do it today, but I couldn't get the garden window open, so I thought breaking the window might have caused a little bit more of a stir than I wanted to. So what we decided to do is create the Raleigh experience as the centerpiece for both the political science and pre-law majors. And just in a nutshell, what this is, it's cooperative learning. Many schools in the engineering field have used cooperative learning for years. They place students in full-time work in the engineering field or in agriculture or in many other more technical fields. And we thought, why not do it in political science? Raleigh is a great laboratory for learning in terms of political science. I mean, we're literally a stone's throw from the General Assembly. If you'd like to throw stones at the General Assembly, feel free. But we are right there. The governor's mansion, the administrative offices for both local, state, and federal offices are right here. We've had a great history of putting students in great internships. We've had interns in the governor's office, in the General Assembly, in local offices, downtown, and even federal courts and other federal offices. So we thought, why not institutionalize that and make it more of a learning experience for students? So in a nutshell, what the Raleigh experience is, it's a series of 4 rotations that a political science or pre-law major will go through in her senior year. She will literally have not just 4 separate internships, but 4 project-based learning opportunities with organizations related to political science or the law. One rotation may be at the General Assembly, the next rotation may be at the Secretary of State's office, the third rotation may be in a law firm, and the fourth rotation may be with one of the parties as the parties prepare for the upcoming elections. So the idea is that a student is going to get a breadth of knowledge and experience through the Raleigh experience. She's going to go in and not just observe, but participate in projects related to those organizations. It's our hope that when students leave Peace College as political science or pre-law majors, they're prepared for jobs, careers, graduate school, but more importantly, they're prepared to be involved in public service. Because we know that women at the table, Peace College graduates at the table, make a difference. And so that really leads to a transition I want to make to the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service. Many of you know that we've had a long-standing relationship with the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service. It's close to my heart. I've been involved with it for a lot of years. But I think it's another opportunity for the Raleigh experience, because as I think about what our students need, they need a little less of Professor McLennan and Professor Ashby, and they need more Professor Marshall, Professor McFarland, Professor Hagan, Professor Taylor. They need to learn from people who do this on a day-to-day basis. And so that's my hope, and Professor Ashby's hope, is that the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service is one such organization that will provide that hands-on learning that will create future leaders and future public servants. So I'd like to turn it over to the brand new Executive Director for the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service. I helped her move into her office yesterday. Annette Taylor to talk to you about.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Professor McLennan. Clearly, I'm in the right place at the right time. What's going on this campus and the changes taking place here today are extraordinary. And I am so excited that the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service is a part of it. And as the new executive director, I'm very excited that I am part of this new collaboration as well. North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service is a nonprofit, nonpartisan program statewide that prepares women to seek and serve in elected and appointed roles. Our mission at the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service clearly aligns with the new program and the curriculum changes taking place here on Peace's campus. Our focus at the center is to provide women the tools and the knowledge and the confidence that they need to serve in elected roles and to seek appointed positions. We promote the value of women's participation in governance, and we also advocate for the systems and the structures that facilitate women's involvement in public service. We fulfill our mission through two programs. The first is the Women on Board workshops, which are interactive, one-day sessions that equip women with the tools that they need to serve and appointed in public office. Participants get the introduction to the structure of boards and commissions. They learn how to refine their political interests, and they explore methods and strategies for identifying and seeking appointed office. Then we have our Women in Office Institute, which is a 7-day nonpartisan leadership and campaign training program that prepares women to seek an elected office. The Institute has been held on Peace's campus for the last 7 years, and we will commence again this year on June 25th. Participants will receive an introduction to what's involved in public service work, including elected and appointed office. Participants hone their leadership skills, they prepare for political campaigning, and they develop tools for effective and ethical public service. The women of Peace College today are our future policy makers of tomorrow. These students are our future generations of leaders. Together, Peace College and the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service are committed to empowering women as leaders. This strategic partnership with Peace will ensure that women all across this fine state have a voice in order to effectively seek and serve in public office. And we want to thank you today for being here.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you, Annette. It's great to have you on the Peace campus.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
We'll see more of her, I'm sure, as we continue this collaboration. You can see how the two programs fit so nicely together. I think this is a special day because we were so lucky to be able to have this announcement and have an honorary director from the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service join us. And actually in 1996, she became the first woman to win a statewide election in North Carolina. So she epitomizes what many women hope to achieve when they go through these programs. And since then, she's been re-elected 3 times. And she's our North Carolina Secretary of State. She earned her bachelor's degree from University of Maryland, her law degree locally from Campbell Law School. She's been a leader in several fields, including child welfare, women's issues, economic development, and the use of information technology to make government more efficient. She's also a national leader in trademark protection and in the prevention of securities fraud. It's really exciting for us today, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to all of you Secretary of State Elaine Marshall.
Thank you all very, very much. I am thrilled to be here today. David, I didn't quite think about being a stone's throw from General Assembly. Yeah. I got to digest that. It's been my great pleasure to have been on Peace Campus any number of times in connection with the Center for Women in Public Service, an outstanding program. I would really encourage all of you to help recruit more folks who might have that just small spark and interest in public service, either through an appointed capacity or through an elected office. These women coming through Peace are going to have all of the energy and enthusiasm that they need. And sometimes as we get out in our daily lives, we sometimes lose a little bit of that edge. And so the Center for Women in Public Service can be that recharge of the batteries to get current information. And we all know that if you sleep, you lose, things rust away in your brain after, they now say, as much as 6 months. as far as skills are concerned. And so the Center for Women in Public Service can serve as that sharpening for your tools and to give you that extra energy that you might need, and to flesh out if this is what you really want to do. And then once you find that it is something you want to do more in public service, to give you that backbone. Thank you all for inviting me to have me here. Best wishes on your service as you begin your leadership here at Peace. And we're seeing all kinds of good things, as you mentioned, Ann Denlinger coming, and now this program. We're looking forward to a lot of great things, as great things have always happened on this campus, but more great things for women here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I do have to admit it, I feel like I'm very much at home as I look around this crowd, being among political junkies. Let's face it, of any age. If you're going to paraphrase maybe Jeff Foxworthy, you could say you might be a political junkie if you knew that I was the first woman elected to executive office before my introduction. But there's nothing like being the answer to a trivia question. I enjoy my role in that. But as much fun as I have with that fact, that's something that happened in the past. What we're here to talk about today is things for the future. We're here to talk about the future of political science at Peace College, which is looking very bright with this program upgrade. And we're here to talk about the future of the students who will participate and use it. The students who are, I might add, and I will note, very, very bright. I've had interactions with Peace students, this college, and I've found the young women here to be smart, as inquisitive, and as ready to make a difference in our society as any students across this state, any other campus that I visited. So keeping the home to such students future focused and vibrant is very important. I'm saying that selfishly, very important for us as a state and for our society, which is why I'm glad to see this called the Raleigh Experience. I think that's a great title. Obviously, these are times of huge change in higher education. With exciting new programs like this, it's clear that Peace intends to be on the positive side of that change, leading that change. The changes in political science and pre-law curriculum, the move onto campus of the Center for Women in Public Service, and the launch of the Raleigh Experience are all good news for Peace and high spots for North Carolina. And as we noted, it's a perfect place because, in the real estate world, they say what you really need, a good quality for a property is location, location, location. Well, by golly, Peace has got location, location, location. You've got all three of those covered. This emphasis on getting students literally into the halls of state government is a simple but elegant way for them to go from reading about something to seeing it, to touching it, to hearing it, and maybe once in a while smelling it. I can tell you from my own personal experience and the other office holders that I deal with every day, they're going to give you an amen. You can read about the General Assembly all you want, but until these students go into the committee rooms and see the members of the legislature opening up their books and their eyebrows coming together as they frown over what they've got to do for that day, or their curiosity factor that you can read in their face, when they see it all, when they see the lobbyist column, a member of the General Assembly, in the corner, sometimes talking very animated, sometimes talking very quiet and softly. And when they eat the fried squash and zucchini in the cafeteria, that is a true education on the ground. You don't understand something until you live it. You can watch all the TV news you want, but until you see the governor in person mix and mingle at an event, watching as she lines up who she's going to shake hands with, you don't understand how it's done. Now, I have to say our governor has an advantage that some other governors haven't had. She's a hugger. She can get away with it. And not every governor can. You can hear about all the protests and you can see it on TV. But until you have to walk through them to get to your next appointment, until you actually see and hear and feel them waving their signs in front of you, you don't understand the passion in their hearts. You don't understand their motivation. But when they're here to talk to their legislators, they make it very evident as to why they're here. The internet, textbooks, and the focused eye of the TV camera can't really drive that message home like it can when you're standing there with them. So being there, seeing and hearing and reacting to the good, the bad, and the ugly of how government gets it done is a vital lesson. When you start getting students into those settings as interns and close-up observers, they're going to grow as students and grow as people. They will start shaping their own beliefs and honing their own knowledge based upon the greatest of all teachers in the world, first-hand experience. You know, the movie maker Woody Allen has said that 80% of success is just showing up. Peace College can give its political science students that huge percentage towards success by opening this new door right next to state government. That's the beauty of having this location combined with the faculty, one of my favorite talking heads, at this great educational institution. But of course, no student I know wants to settle for 80%. After all, that's just a C in this world. What this program does is to provide a huge new opportunity, but it's an old-fashioned desire to learn by Peace students that comes together to make it a success. So I feel good about all of that for the future. I've met many young women who've come here to pursue their dreams. The phrase, pursue your dreams, actually tells you that you are the one who has to go out there and experience and learn in order to reach your dreams, because no one else can pursue your dreams for you. Fortunately, Raleigh is still a great place for that. This is the city where tall buildings are still going up, literally right across your front yard. This is a city where big dreams are still being dreamt. People are still coming here from across the state and the entire country, even the entire world, just to pursue their dreams right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is one of the fastest growing cities and one of the fastest growing counties in the entire United States. I know in some of your literature for this program, you pointed out that we are the 10th largest state in terms of population. Let me make this very easy forecast. We will be 9th, if not 8th, and possibly 7th when the next census comes out. We will pick up an additional congressional seat the next time around. That means that North Carolina is destined to become a larger and larger player on the national political stage. So what happens here in state government has more and more implications, not just for our own growing population here in North Carolina, but for this entire country. I think this means young people today would be very smart to spend more and more of their college years studying our state government and the political landscape. I mean that even for students who don't even have the slightest interest in running for office or being some type of political activist. Why? Because even if your dreams are going into business or stay in the private sector in some way, knowing a lot about how government operates will help you in any career that you might choose. The decisions made by our public leaders affect virtually every industry you can think of, so why not be fluent on the topic of government? I would tell almost anyone in college today that they're cheating themselves if they ignore the chance to gain some real insight into how laws get made and how government actually functions. Such knowledge can only help to make you a more valuable member of any business or organization team later on in life. So I see this program as something that anyone would do well to take if given the chance. And for those young people who already know they're interested in public service after their education, it's absolutely a no-brainer. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican or unaffiliated, or if you're trying to bring back the Whig Party. If you say you want to be involved in politics in a serious way in your lifetime, then you've got to put yourself to the game at some point. And the game here is becoming a major league event. Again, for the reasons I just said, North Carolina is on track to become one of the country's most powerful states in this 21st century. More and more people in other places, more media outlets, more lobbying interests, more left-wing bloggers and right-wing tweeters than ever care about what happens in North Carolina more than ever before. And all that interest in all things North Carolina will only continue to grow in the decades to come. But what I personally really want to see grow in the decades to come is I want to see more young women enter our state's political life as elected officials. The year 2008, the statewide election was a big success for female candidates from both parties, and we now have our first woman governor. We've hit the equality mark in terms of gender for the Council of State, the State Supreme Court, and the Court of Appeals. We can go hoorah for all that. That election was a great success, a moment for fairness and equality in North Carolina. But did it become the new normal? I think the jury is still out on that. And maybe the jury is leaning towards saying, no, it's not the new normal. Greensboro News and Record reporter Doug Clark absolutely pointed out in the column just a couple of days ago that in the past election, women actually lost seats in the General Assembly. He did the count, and it shows that the number of women in North Carolina who are state representatives or state senators fell from 43 to 38 in the current General Assembly. That's not good news. That means that women make up less than 1/4 of our state's most powerful and important political body. This is a state where women make up well over 50% of the population. And if you have any doubt whatsoever that the General Assembly is not the center of political power in North Carolina, then you really need to carry yourself right across the street and sit in on the budget deliberations that are going to happen today. Clark also points out in his story that while we do continue to have 50-50 representation in terms of gender in our United States Senate, there's one of each, there are only 3 women in our 13-member congressional delegation. So there's a real gender gap in terms of political power in North Carolina and in this country. Women have had some meaningful victories, but we do have more seats at the table than we once had. But year in and year out, we do not have to close at the 50% mark when it comes to women holding elective office. So again, I see this curriculum that is happening here at Peace, as well as the North Carolina Center for Women in Public Service, as being vital. And I want to take particular emphasis to note that the Center for Women in Public Service emphasizes effective and ethical leadership, something that we all need to be ever vigilant about. We simply do not have equality with men when it comes to holding political power and making public policy to determine the laws of this state or this country, which means this new program is really a good thing and needed. I hope young women use this opportunity at Peace to learn, to build their interest, to build their resume, and most of all, to build up their confidence and self-esteem. Because having confidence in yourself and your beliefs is the most important thing you need when you decide to enter public life. You simply can't take the pressure and the criticisms and the up and down that goes with everything that you have to do, with having your name in the paper, and sometimes not always positive, if you don't have an extra dose of self-confidence. So I thank all of you here working on this program. I thank those of you here today to support these programs. And most of all, I say to every Peace College student thinking about getting involved in it, give it a shot. The world needs your involvement. We need your ideas. We need your leadership. I can't wait to meet some of the graduates, some of the students as they participate in this program. I'm looking forward to seeing Peace alumni and the Center for Women in Public Service alumni out there serving, either elected or appointive offices. I want to see names on the ballot, but most of all, I want to see good, ethical, effective leadership coming from women in this state. And we're off to a good start here today. Thank you all.
Peace has been here since 1857, and we think we've made some strides, but there's more to go. And we appreciate your support on this, and of course having everybody here with the center joining us too. Peace is making decisions about the future, like many institutions, not just higher ed and these times that we're in. And we've made the decision to expand and to innovate, and many of you may not know that over 90% of our graduates get placed annually in jobs or in graduate school, and we want to be sure that we're keeping up with that innovation so that our students still have those opportunities when they graduate for careers and for, as our mission says, lives of ethical leadership and meaningful careers and lifelong learning. And that's what we're striving to do here. And so our students are changing, and as our students change over the years, Peace College has changed, and this is just one more factor in that process. And so we're very excited about today and the future that political science holds on our campus in preparing these young women and other women who come back to learn from the center here. And I think we have time for maybe just one or two questions because I know people have a busy schedule and on to the next thing. Anybody have a question they'd like to ask? All right, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And Justin Roy is our Director of Communications. If anybody has a follow-up question, feel free to talk to him. And again, I want to thank so much having Secretary Marshall here and having the center here on the Peace College campus. And we look forward to many years of collaboration. Thank you, everybody.